Hi, I'm Tim with the Iola Register, and I'm here with Taelyn Mathews of Southeast Kansas Mental Health Center. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
All right. There are lots of questions I want to ask you,
Yeah.
but first, can you just kind of give me a day-to-day overview of what your job is because you're a school-based therapist, right? At
Yes.
Iola High School.
And Iola Middle School.
Oh, so you're at both locations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that even adds more questions because I'm just kind of you've got to be running back and forth between.
Yeah.
Do you drive?
They're just a block away. But I spend like 2 days at the middle school, 2 days at the high school, and then Fridays I just kind of go wherever I'm needed.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you don't have to be going back and forth in the same day.
I try to schedule the kids out.
I ask the driving thing because even though the courthouse is like a block away, sometimes I hate to say this, I'll drive to the courthouse because I'm like, it's faster. It's not, especially now because
finding the parking.
Yeah, and every street I go down now is closed. I'll be like,
true.
Washington's open, and then it's open now, but it just seems like that's been it of late. Okay, so kind of tell me what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so as a school-based therapist, I just see kids at school. So I collaborate with the schools. I have a set caseload, and so every day I just see what kids I'm going to see that day, and then I just start doing individual therapy at the school, and then I also help with like referrals or anything that the school needs. So if the school identifies someone that's struggling, I can help connect them to someone at the mental health center, kind of fill those gaps in for them as well.
So are you a lot of times like the entry point for the kid getting connected to a bunch of different social services?
Yeah. So a lot of the times, like the principals, secretaries, teachers, they're very good at identifying students that might need additional support. And then I can kind of help think like, okay, they need therapy or they need a different support or a different service, and help guide not only the students, but the teachers or whoever might have connected me with them on what we can do.
And kind of how many students are you working with?
Right now, about 60-ish. Yeah. So, yeah.
Seems like a lot. It's 40 hours in a week.
Yes. I don't typically meet with every kid every week.
Yeah.
So,
but still.
Yeah,
and then when you are meeting with kids, are these kind of like, and I imagine it probably depends on the case and the situation and how the student is doing that week. But are you like sitting down with them for 30 minutes or kind of how's it work?
Yeah. So around typically 30 minutes for middle school kids, 30 to 45 minutes. And then high school kids, I typically see them for an entire class period. So like 51 minutes. So 45 to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, I would say.
How long have you been in this role?
So I've been here at the middle school and high school for 1 year. I was previously a school-based therapist at Chanute Elementary for the 3 years before this year.
So, really? So you've been in schools now for 4 school years.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. It's May. School's almost over.
Yes.
You can feel it.
Yes.
But I guess I just wanted to look at the whole school year. If you kind of think about those kids, those 60 kids, and I'm sure there's been other many kids that you've come into contact with. I'm just kind of curious what you've seen kids struggle with or kind of come to you with. What kind of is on their hearts, or what are they working through that seems to be really common?
Yeah. I would say low self-esteem is one huge thing, especially, it's a common struggle to deal with in middle school and high school is not having the confidence in yourself. But even more now, I think just comparing yourself on social media and being connected all the time, kids are really struggling with that. So poor self-esteem, overall, just feeling sad or lonely, like not connected, or connected but not connected,
not in any deeper, meaningful way.
Yeah. The quality of their connections are not great. Yeah. So trying to build that, good quality, and then just like school performance, students being very nervous of grades or just feeling like they're not performing well up to parent standards or teacher standards, and then kind of getting paralyzed in that fear a little
Huh.
bit.
Huh. And when you're working with these kids, self-esteem, I remember middle school and I remember I mean, I think it's a stereotype, but like I did not like middle school. I hated middle school.
Yeah, same.
Most everything about it annoyed me and I was uncomfortable almost all the time. No, I didn't have anybody posting photos of me on Snapchat or Instagram, thank God.
Yeah.
Um, but how do you I mean, how do you help or what do you try and do with these kids that I mean, I feel like listening is a wonderful first step, but I'm just kind of curious about what some of the tools in your toolbox are when you work with kids.
Yeah, I think the first thing is building trust with them and creating like just a non-judgmental space for them to share their interests, and then working on building that self-esteem. So for some kids, helping them find friends or like groups that they can join, get really challenge them to get themselves out of their comfort zones.
Hmm.
There's kids that have found their footing in drama club, or kids that have found their footing in high school in the Mustangs for Mental Health
Yeah.
group, or things like that. And so I think building their confidence with that, but also going on walks, I think is extremely helpful for you to just clear your mind, but also that physical movement
Huh.
is really good. So I like to take kids on walks and just kind
Really?
of talk, and
Well, that's cool that you can do that.
yeah,
Do you just
yeah.
walk around campus or kind of?
Yeah,
Huh.
just in the school, during school we'll just walk, around the school or go outside and walk around the school. But in the summer we can go a little bit further.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking about like February or
But
November. It's
yeah.
freezing.
Yeah, we'll just make laps in the hallways and
Go
things.
in the gym.
So yeah, for sure.
How do you building trust? So in a previous life, I was a teacher, and I remember that is always the first goal. I remember that saying, um, "Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." That
Yeah.
that whole idea of like you can try and help them, but it's going to really fall on deaf ears
Yeah,
if
for
if
sure.
they're not receptive to you. Um, is that a struggle? Is that something that you feel comes easily to you, or kind of how do you work to build trust with kids?
It definitely depends on the kid. I'm just naturally very goofy, and
Uh-huh.
so I think that helps break down some walls, because I'm not the therapist that your kid's gonna come in and I'm gonna be sitting there like super serious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be goofy. I make a lot of silly jokes that they laugh at me. I don't think they're laughing with me. I think that they're laughing at me, but anything I have to do. But we play a lot of games too. We just, the first several sessions I have with students, we're not just sitting there like, let's deep dive into your trauma, or let's deep
Yeah.
dive into your family history or things like that. We're playing Uno, or we're
Hmm.
playing Battleship, and just really, like you said, they don't really care what I have to say until they can know that they can trust me. So,
Hmm.
and also reminding them that it is a safe space, and while setting those limits of confidentiality, I have to tell someone if you are disclosing certain information, but I'm not gonna, run to your teacher and say that you're mad at them because you got a bad grade or something
Yeah.
like that. So,
Well, okay. So let me push you a little bit on this because I think part of the trust comes when they feel like you genuinely care,
yeah,
right? Like this
yeah,
isn't just your job.
yeah.
You're not just here to collect a paycheck and leave. Like I remember hearing that a lot with kids. Oh,
Mm.
well, she doesn't even care. She's just here to teach me because she has to. And that whole idea, like I think kids can tell when your heart is in the work.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering where that comes from for you because it feels to me like it is that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I've always just been really passionate about advocating for like vulnerable populations, and just seeing people where they are and sitting with them in the messiness of life. Um I don't have a ton of personal experience with, those things, but um I thought I wanted to be a teacher when I was young, and I started going to school, and I was just like, the push for, teaching curriculum, that kind of thing. I just was like, I don't think so. But I really liked working with kids that had behavioral problems or that were struggling at home and just needed somebody that was safe. So I'm very passionate about just being that person for somebody, being the little bit of light that they might see and a little bit of hope in their darkness, and knowing that they can come and check in with me if they need to, or just being not a friend, but being a friend for them in those times.
Mm-hmm. What does that give you? I mean, how do you feel? I was reading actually earlier this morning just about the idea of vocation, and that for a vocation, a career to be sustainable, this author was saying, you need to have a deep joy meet a world's deep need. And
Yeah.
so I hear you when you say the vulnerable populations. You are working with kids who, as you said, many have experienced trauma. They're dealing with problems. And so the need is there.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the joy come from for you in this?
Man,
Sorry, not to get like super deep.
No, you're fine. I think the joy just comes from, I just feel like I've been called to support kids, and to be there for them. And so, I just, any way I can do that, this job just gives me the in. I'm in schools where kids are. If I was in an office, they might not come to me. So I just meet them where they're at. And so I think the joy is, seeing a light bulb click for a kid. I've seen kids go to middle school and they struggle with the lockers, or they are scared. They're literally scared. And then we talk about their strengths. We, work through the lockers. I go out there with them and help them with the lockers. And, we just like building up their confidence, and then, seeing that student help another student. That's really cool. It's those little wins that I just try to hold on to.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's I was at the Community Mental Health Forum. I guess it was a week ago. Things are kind of blurring together. It's a busy time of year.
Yeah.
But I noticed the rapport that you had with the kids. You were sitting next to Ramon in the it was the panel, I guess, at the beginning of the event, and just kind of. I mean, it was really easy for him to turn to you and give you a fist bump, or, just kind of laugh and look to you for affirmation of what he was saying.
Yeah.
But also like he felt that you, I'm supposing, but it seemed pretty clear to me that he really felt like you understood, where he was coming from.
Yeah.
And so that was powerful to me to see. It was a cool event, really. The youth really directed it from start to finish. I guess I'm curious about the heaviness of the work. What's the hardest part about your job?
Oh, that's such a loaded question. Yeah. It can be really heavy. Kids come in and they talk about real things that they're going through, real things that have happened to them. And I can't change it. If I could take everyone, with me, but I can't change their living situations. I can't change their past, what they've been through. And I can't make choices for them. That's really hard is, sometimes they can only see such a small view. They're not seeing the big picture of life. And so it's hard because I want them to see that there's hope, and I want them to see that certain different choices have different outcomes, and I can't choose that for them. I think that's something that, can keep me up at night, is just thinking, hoping that they're making different choices if they're previously making, poor choices, or just hoping that kids are safe, and that they're being taken care of the way that they should be.
Yeah. If you had a magic wand, it would be so easy.
Yes.
Right?
I wouldn't have a job anymore.
Yeah. Well, I remember too, I've talked with a couple of teachers, and just from what I seem to hear too, there's a lot of the job that the kids are the best part. The other parts of the job often are what make it like, I don't know if you have a lot of paperwork or, but all of the other stuff around the job is just like, just let me get in the classroom. Let me talk to
Yeah.
the kids,
Yeah.
all this other work around it seems to be, but every job, I think, like, I don't know. There's certainly days where I feel like not everything is sunshine and roses
Yes.
in
Yeah,
every
for
sort of
sure.
job.
Mhm.
Um, when you think about the region that we're in Allen County, and then you had some experience in Chanute, outside of the school walls, what are some of the external factors that contribute to the problems or the struggles that you see kids dealing with? So I'm thinking about just kind of the 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 risk factors or some of the things that you can't solve, but
Mhm.
definitely influence how kids feel when they walk into school in the morning.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of things like, well, and we can't solve this, but the phones, like if someone's being bullied at school, back when we were going to school, it was like you're bullied at school and then you go home and you're
Hmm.
safe at home. But now it follows you. So that is just hard for students. But also, it's a lot better now, but just the resources of like fun things to do for students that are safe, here in Allen County. Um, it would be awesome to have, I don't know, something somewhere that's like safe and free for students to go and,
Uh-huh.
hang out and not worried about, substance use or alcohol or anything like that.
Yeah, I live in Meadowbrook, and
Yeah.
I was out walking our dog like it was 9:30, and I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday this week. Swear to God, there were like 40 kids playing pickleball.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and there
That's
was
awesome.
not, and I walked past, and I couldn't see a single adult. Like, and there was all this like 40 kids
Yeah.
playing, like, and I thought like Lord of the Flies, like it's gonna break down into anarchy. Somebody's gonna, but they were all just there, like focused, having fun,
Yeah.
yelling, like making noise. They weren't just
Yeah.
silently playing. But I was like, oh my gosh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But I hear you. What I seem to hear you say is um, like bowling alley, roller rink, just those types of recreation
Yeah.
types of things
Yeah.
that were here when I was a kid, and now
Yeah.
they're not.
Yeah. For
Those
sure.
types of things.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. How does the mental health center partner with the high school and the middle school in other ways? Or are you there's more than just you from the mental health center, right?
Yeah. So I'm the school based therapist for both. So I'm the only therapist housed at the middle school and high school, but we also have case managers who are people that are on my team that work under a treatment plan to provide services to the kids as well. So it's just another point of support for the kids. Case managers can provide support in the classroom as well.
Mhm.
So that's really nice for those kids that might be struggling like academically or struggling to focus, that kind of thing. And then we also have Zero Reasons Why in the high
Mhm.
school. And so that has been a really good, um, partnership that we're
And Travis
having.
Buck is the lead from the mental health center.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
is he there like every day in the schools, or is he?
No, he's around because he's
Mhm.
also at Moran and Humboldt.
That's right. Mhm.
So, but whenever we have like Mustangs for Mental Health or Zero Reasons Why club meetings, like
Okay.
him and I both make a point to be there.
Are you? I guess there's kind of two parts. When I was a kid in high school, we had a counselor,
Mhm.
like, that we could go talk to.
Yeah.
That position isn't there anymore. That's you now.
So no,
Okay.
the position will be filled again this coming school year.
Okay.
So I have helped fill in gaps for them this year since there wasn't anybody in that position. But traditionally, like there will be somebody.
Okay. But there hasn't
And
been this year.
correct, yeah. So if there have been kids that the principals or like the secretaries have identified that need somebody to talk to, I can help and I can talk to them, and then decide like, do they need a further referral for therapy? Do I need to schedule with them, or did they just need somebody to talk to for a
Yeah.
little bit?
I guess. Okay. So the second question is, are you enough? Are you stretched? Does there need to be another one of you? I mean, kind of just asking if you
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed by the job, or do you feel like, no, I can handle it?
So right now it feels manageable. Whenever I was at the elementary school in Chanute, my caseload was significantly bigger. So it feels manageable right now. Now, if it could get to a point where I would see we would need somebody at each school.
Yeah.
But selfishly, I like both age groups, so I would want to go to both, but maybe in the future, if the need is there, I could see growing to a point that I need some help.
I just kind of think from a school district and like a, you know, taxpayer perspective, you're free. I mean, in a way that like you're not an employee of the school district, right? I mean, you're an employee of the mental health center. And I just think that's a really cool partnership.
Yeah.
But it's probably something that like, we take for granted. I would assume, that I just wasn't aware that you're seeing 60 kids. That's a lot, that's a lot to do. And to think that you've got case managers as well, kind of moving in and out of the school. And then you're also referring these kids into different services.
Yeah. Keeps me busy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good, right?
Yeah. I like to stay busy.
Like I'm saying, I think I heard you say like you just didn't want to be just in an office waiting for somebody to lie down in a couch in front of you.
Yes. I like to move around. I'm always around. So
what's some of the biggest differences between the middle school kids and the high school kids when you think about what they're struggling with and just kind of their maturity and what they tend to come to you?
Yeah. Well, the middle school kids, they think I'm cool still. So I like them for that. They're not afraid to wave and say, "That's my therapist," in the hallway. The high schoolers are like, "Please don't talk to me." They're significantly less mature. But with the middle schoolers, we're really working on a lot of them. I think a lot of the problems with both of them overlap. Working on self-esteem as a middle schooler, working on self-esteem as a high schooler, or anxiety for both, or that kind of thing. I think with middle schoolers, I work with impulse control a lot. Working on self-control, just because you think something doesn't mean you should say it. So I'm working on that a lot more with middle schoolers.
Adults have trouble with that too.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So giving them some tools to, stop and think, or take some deep breaths before you speak to your friend, and make sure that you want to say that before you say it. So,
yeah. May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And so this is probably a time where you think a lot more reflexively about your job. For the skeptics, for those who think that like, a generation ago, like this position didn't exist, these services weren't needed, kids just kind of, every once in a while you hear those old dudes be like, just kind of start being like, this is what is sort of your answer, either internally or what you voice to other people about why, this is important?
Yeah. So I try to remind people your brain is an organ. So if your liver isn't working, you're going to go to the hospital and figure out why your liver isn't working, figure out what you're going to do to help your liver, right? So your brain is the same way. If there's something disconnected in your brain, or your brain isn't thriving, it's just surviving, then we need to figure out why. So I try to really, help parents, kids, people in the community understand that it's not anything to be ashamed of. It's just, I can't go in and do brain surgery, right? But we can talk about why your brain isn't, why are you anxious to go into Walmart? Why are you feeling sad all the time? Like, let's figure out why there's that disconnect, and figure out ways to, remove that and get your brain to thrive and not just survive, to just improve people's quality of life. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody could use mental health services at one point or another in their lives.
Yeah.
You know, we all go through things and struggle at different times, whether that's because of internal issues or external issues or things that come up. I think everybody can benefit from just having somebody to talk to. I'm not some like doing voodoo, things with kids. I'm just talking to them. So, and normalizing their feelings and validating them, but also giving them tools to take outside of my office to improve their life.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to tell people is it's just another organ that we're just working to improve.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me continue on that.
Okay.
So, like, your liver is an organ that is definitely affected by like what you put into your body.
Yeah.
And your brain is an organ that is definitely affected by like the world around us.
Yeah.
Let's just say that you're like able to make some pretty drastic changes about the world, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, like queen for a day or just like, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
In order to make things easier for our brains and
Mhm.
for the kids who you see, what would be some things that you're like, you know what, I would just do that?
Yeah. Um, thinking about this question's funny because I would just snap my fingers and all the screens would go off at like 7 p.m. Like I know that we need to have screens, but it's not good for you to have them so late at night. You're trying to go to bed and your brain is just wired.
Mhm.
And so I think that would be helpful for people just to let their brains calm down. We're so connected. And, there have been times that I've just sat and either reading a book or not reading a book, but just sitting and just like letting your brain kind of just shut off and not be in overdrive. Also, like, let's not with the sugar. I mean, I'm so bad about eating sugar and drinking caffeine too. I don't know how you're a therapist and not drinking Alani, but I think what you're putting into your body, is really important for all of your organs. And so, if we're hyped up on sugar all the time, like, is our brain actually ever to just like calm down? So, yeah.
Two things. Both of those seem to be on the theme of like listening, paying attention.
Yeah.
The screens, a lot of times, it just seems to me like an ability to become numb to whatever we're feeling in the moment. We kind of turn to it as a way to, just numb the sensation, the anxiety, the pain, the boredom, the whatever.
Mhm.
Just get me with a hit of dopamine or,
Yeah, for sure.
whatever I see on the screen usually makes me either angry or, some type of way so that I can avoid whatever's in front of me.
Mhm.
Same thing with sugar, like super crazy consumption of like caffeine is just gets me so frenetic and hyped up that I can't kind of sit with things. Sounds like that's something that you've practiced.
Not drinking caffeine?
No, just the ability, I guess, maybe to like, no, I don't think the caffeine, you sound guilty.
Yes. I'm guilty.
But of the ability to just kind of be present in something or be able to sit maybe even in discomfort or, state of not being okay. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I realized, I don't know, it's been maybe a year or so ago that like, why am I uncomfortable with just like the silence? Well, it's because I'm so used to just, we're used to chaos around us all the time. And so, I'm just really still working on it, but working on just being present with whoever's in front of me and not being so distracted with everything else. Have you ever heard of the bricks for your phones?
No.
So it's like, I don't know, a plug for like, it's a thing that you can tap your phone on and then it like shuts off all of your apps, but you can still have like your phone calls or text messages or things like that. And so we have one on our fridge. And so my husband and I will just like go brick our phone. And it just kind of forces you to just be really present. And so, I'm working on it. But
you know what I do now with my phone, and actually my wife was the one who told me about this, is like you go home and you put your phone on like a single spot.
Yeah.
Like you just connect it to the charger and you leave it there. You don't
Yeah.
constantly have it. Like, I go to the kitchen, I take it with me. I'm going down to, go outside, I'll put it on the porch, or I have it in my pocket while I'm doing this. Just
Yeah.
like, remember the days when we had house phones? Like, it's kind of going back to that idea.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want the phone? There it is. It's over there.
Yeah.
And stop constantly having access to it. Okay. Well, you've given me a lot of things to think about, a lot of great kind of just reflection points. I'm very grateful for the work that you do. I think it's really important, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, so you don't get any like rest during the summer.
No.
You kind of
it gets slower. It gets slower during the summer for me, but no, I just keep seeing kids and connecting with them. It's a little bit more fun too. We can go play basketball and that kind of stuff too, at our location. So it's fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.